The couple was in line at the supermarket to check out. As they were almost at the counter, Jim suddenly remembered he forgot to buy shaving gel. Ignoring his wife's protests, he ran off. As Hui Zhen was about to check out, she kept looking back, but still couldn't see her husband's figure. With no choice, she let others go ahead and pushed her cart to the back of the line, thinking about how her husband had caused her trouble again. Hui Zhen's face turned bright red with anger. At that moment, Jim happily ran over, completely unaware that his wife was about to explode.
1+1 대박이지.
내가 금방 차려온댔지, 이 개지!
Hui Zhen's scolding words were unbearable. The whole supermarket was stunned. Jim complained to his friend. He not only often faced verbal abuse, but the wounds on his face were also his wife's doing. He had had enough of the changes in his wife after marriage. He wanted a divorce. His friend could only sigh. The next day, the bank manager said their performance had dropped sharply recently and asked Jim and his colleagues to go hand out flyers. His colleagues always beat him to it. Jim was very upset, so he had no choice but to go to the office building to hand them out. The security guard came to stop him. While they were arguing, a voice called out to him. It was the campus beauty he had pursued back in college. Over 10 years had passed, but she was still as youthful and beautiful as ever.
뭐야, 반응 왜 이래? 내 얼굴 까먹었어? 나야, 혜원이.
They went to a restaurant to catch up. The campus beauty remembered Jim loved meat, so she gave him some of the meat from her bowl. At that moment, Jim was moved. It had been so long since anyone had cared for him like that. The campus beauty said she returned home because she missed her family and friends. She continued saying she had heard from classmates that Jim was very capable and that his wife was very beautiful.
예전에 내가 선배 좋아했잖아.
Hearing this, Jim was completely stunned. He spent the whole day in a daze. He couldn't focus on work. His mind was filled with thoughts of the campus beauty confessing to him. He never expected that the campus beauty he had desperately pursued back then had liked him. He recalled their first meeting 12 years ago. When Jim was working a part-time job, he was drawn by the sound of music in the hallway. He followed the sound and saw a girl playing the cello through the door crack. Jim was immediately captivated. At that moment, a classmate bumped into him by accident, knocking Jim to the ground. The goddess was startled. The scene became quite awkward. Jim quickly fled. His clumsy reaction made the goddess smile slightly. The next day, Jim saw the goddess surrounded by a group of boys. His friend told him she was Hui Yuan, the campus beauty from the music department. After hearing this, Jim joined the club to get closer to Hui Yuan. On Hui Yuan's birthday, Jim stood at the door of the classroom with a rose, rehearsing how to give it to her but too shy to knock. At that moment, another boy walked by holding a bouquet of flowers. Jim hurriedly stepped aside. The boy knocked on Hui Yuan's door, gave her the flowers generously, and invited her out. Jim felt a bit regretful, but then secretly overheard Hui Yuan say she was too busy to attend a LaCroix Hoff signing event. Jim realized he couldn't miss this opportunity to get closer to the goddess. So he rushed to the famous musician's signing event and got a signed CD. Then he found Hui Yuan and gave it to her. Hui Yuan smiled happily when she saw the CD. At that moment, Jim turned back and wished her a happy birthday. Hui Yuan started developing a liking for this boy. The next day, as Jim was rushing to class, suddenly, Hui Yuan called out to him. She asked him to join her for a cello solo concert that night. The goddess actually asked him out. Jim was extremely